Hi guys, it's Angie. Second unassisted live. The first one, my microphone fell off. It's a bit of a mic drop. And we have threats blocked. Thank goodness for security software. Yeah, I didn't advertise this. In fact, I did. I said I'd do it yesterday. So there you go. And I did write down a few ideas. Let's see. Oh, hello. Hi, darling. I'm very fond of following you on Facebook. I find Facebook, I know it's got a terrible reputation, but I know it should get the treatment that Twitter has in terms of exposure for what the governments have paid to social media platforms to censor. So the Twitter files, for those that have followed them, have been stunning. They've broken the Constitution, the First Amendment. It's been scandalous. Millions spent by the government to censor the public, which is anyway illegal. But so I'm pretty sure Facebook and YouTube have done the same, and Instagram and so on. But one of the reasons I've stuck with Facebook since my teenage, well, they're now 25 and 28, but since they were like 14 and 17, is because Facebook gives you a really rounded sense of who somebody is, their daily lives, their photographs, if they don't remain anonymous. I just find it a lovely way to get to know people in cyberspace. So welcome to Elizabeth and others. Like I've when I lost my main Facebook profile, I was devastated because I'd had it like 12 years or something. I had 5,000 friends, 2,000 followers, and many of them included sort of distant family that I had, might only see at weddings and funerals and stuff. And I was and had, live streams like 27,000 views of when my house got raided at the behest of Ricky Dearman, which never came to anything. But still 27,000 views of a live stream that I made about that. And more importantly, things like weddings and funerals. I just lost that profile. I'm working with YouTube at the moment to possibly reinstate my original channel, which would be great. Yeah. Gabby Grey Hips. I don't know. These names crack me up. I've been told I should have not used my real name from the get-go, to protect, if nothing else, my children. And, I just prefer, I don't know, I can't change the past. And I prefer to put my face behind my opinions. And the reason for today's title is I'm frustrated, right? I've got permission. This is something that I can say mea culpa to myself, right? I've had 5 children, 3 are alive. 2 of which were out of wedlock and are not here. So had all of them lived, I would be quote unquote guilty of 5 children by 3 baby daddies, which I don't believe is what God intended for the healthiest way to raise children and keep the family structure in place. So I'm not coming from a judgmental place at all. So my first pregnancy ended in miscarriage at 5.5 months, which was torturesome, absolutely just heartbreaking. I cried every day for a year. That was when I was about 25. And although I would never wish that baby gone, the father was a Lebanese Muslim, and I only later found out that had I had the baby and separated from him, his culture was that in the event of separation, the father's family take the child, whether by kidnapping or whatever means. If a father, a Lebanese Muslim father and a European mother have a child and separate, their culture is the child goes to the Lebanese grandparents. And I just know for myself that would have devastated me, absolutely devastated me. And I've seen stories where mothers have gone to Muslim countries to try and find their children and bring them home, because in Western culture, it's more normal, or it was more normal, to leave the children with the mothers. So it's a real clash of cultures, which you might not think about when you fall in love with somebody from a different culture. And there's nothing like a pregnancy to bring out cultural values. Like the father of my first pregnancy, you know, we were both in our 20s and we were, you know, just anyway, we'll get just, I feel like saying it's like a puppy is for life, not just for Christmas. Well, how much more so a baby, especially if you're going to cross cultures. And although this gorgeous Lebanese guy who's now happily married in Leicester with a wife and 3 children, a Muslim wife and 3 children, but how shocking it was that I didn't even think, I wonder what the cultural norms are with regard to separated parents and children. I'll just catch up with the chat. You will see I'm letting my hair color grow out. So as I dive towards the chat to read it, you get a good look at my roots. Let's see who's here. Gabby Gray. It was like Clarice Starling. My son gave out to me for using my own name. Appreciate your videos. That's so nice. Yeah, I appreciate you, Cheryl. You always tune in. That's what happened to my sister. Okay, yeah. All right. So then I got pregnant again outside of wedlock, age 28 in California. And I believe I was targeted. I believe I was kind of hounded. I was a survivor of multiple trauma in my childhood, including MK Ultra and multiple abuse. And I was hounded by a Sicilian American from mafia connections to do with Sicily and Calabria and Gandrete. His parents had come, I believe they fled from Sicily and Calabria to America, because he later warned me if I ever took our daughter back to Sicily or Calabria to visit, that I was under no circumstances to quote their family name. And generations were wiped out in Sicily in the mafia wars. And it felt like a movie. You know, I was really planning to take our daughter back. You know, like, oh, look, this is your roots. This is where your grandparents came from. This is your dad's heritage, and so on and so forth. We never did make that trip. And probably it would have been good advice not to say both the mother's maiden name. Well, I'll say them. No, I won't, because I don't want to embarrass my daughter. Because that's the thing. This American Sicilian mafioso guy that wooed me in California, and to whom I became pregnant, was 15 years older than me. I was like 28. He was 15 years older. He's now 80, still alive, having fled America when I tried to get polygraph tests done in California after I finally belatedly believed my daughter's allegations, and he fled the country. He sold over $1 million worth of property and fled the country in 3 weeks from when I said, I've arranged for you to go get a polygraph test in Sausalito, Manzanita. as you offered, because he called my bluff. And within 3 weeks, he had gone. But he is still alive at 80 years of age in Bangkok, Malaysia. But I can't take action because my daughter's now an adult in her 30s. And if she doesn't want to take action, it's not my place to name him or shame him without her blessing, you know? So those were two careless conception of babies that I made. And I never would apologize to my children for abuse or neglect by their fathers, but I used to ask myself, okay, what part of this is my side of the street to clean up? And I could say I carelessly conceived you, and I'm profoundly sorry for that. I'm profoundly sorry for careless conception. It's not fair. Children deserve two parents, you know, preferably married, definitely committed, preferably monogamous and faithful, and not broken, if possible. It's not always possible. I think the dog wants to come in. Sorry, I'm going to let the dog in. Come on. I think I'm hopeful that Ruby's pregnant. There's only a 20% chance because she was a bit of a reluctant virgin. But we won't know till the middle of February, but and we carefully chose a good partner. And this is like, there's a lot to be said for arranged marriages lasting longer. I don't believe in staying in an abusive marriage because the Catholic Church says so, or your family arranged it, and you'll be a disgrace if you leave and all the rest of it. No, I don't. I left an abusive marriage myself, which was agony because I was like an associate pastor in a church and like, you know, held in high standing and like nice standard of living and blah, blah, blah. But I couldn't live a lie. I couldn't live crying every day. I couldn't do it. So there's a book I want to recommend called The Rules. Oh, that's, yeah. Hi, Wanda. Hi, darling. There's a book I want to recommend called The Rules. And it was actually my daughter that introduced me to it. And it's called The Rules. I can't remember the author's name. And it's very old fashioned, but it talks about if you really want a serious long-term committed relationship as opposed to a 1 night, 2 night, 6 month stand, here's some tips. And it makes so much sense. So the thing that got me to actually have the courage to make this, and I did check first. I said to this lady, can I discuss this without saying your name? I've recently been in touch with an amazing woman, probably in her 30s. And she's had 9 pregnancies and 6 living children, 2 abortions, and a recent miscarriage. And I'm just heartbroken. I want to say rudely to younger women, stop opening your legs to losers, please. If I could have said that to my younger self, I would not have had the heartbreaking miscarriage at 5.5 months and the giving birth to a daughter whose father turned out to be a child molester. I never married him. There's a false rumor abroad that my first husband was a pedophile. No, I never married him, but I conceived with him. And I feel bad about that. And if I had adhered, I'm not making excuses. I was born in 57. The pill came out in the 70s, and it was women's lib, and it's like, oh, you've got the pill, and now the world's your oyster. You can do what you want without fear of getting pregnant, and da da da. And if men like sleeping around, why shouldn't we? And blah blah blah. And I kind of went through a promiscuous phase, and if I could give any wisdom, I would say, don't go down that route. It's especially, how can you have 9 pregnancies in your late 30s, and one of which ended in a miscarriage only 2 weeks ago, and this beautiful woman almost died because she would not accept a blood transfusion in hospital of V'd blood. I can, almost automatically, everything I do on my YouTube initially is demonetized, and then if I ask for a review, 95% of it comes through approved. But there just seems to be an automatic default not to monetize, and that's not why I came online anyway. But she nearly died because she was bleeding so profusely with this miscarriage, and they wanted to give her a blood transfusion, and she's unjabbed and would not accept a blood transfusion unless they could guarantee her, which obviously they can't guarantee her, that it's pure blood. And by that, pure blood, uncontaminated. And the globalists that flew to Davos were found to have advertised for pilots that were jibby-jabbed to fly them there, and then go and possibly promote more of the same. And somebody else told me that unjibby-jabbed sperm is selling on the dark web for $1,000 a pop. That's madness. But no, so this beautiful, intelligent, highly educated woman, an activist who could muster 800 protesters at very short notice, very, very well educated, very well brought up, and yet no boundaries in terms of who could impregnate her. So with 6 living children, 2 abortions, and 1 miscarriage, I just found the courage to say, as women, forget about women's lib. I was a women's libber. Germaine Greer was at my university, and I was a child of the 57, so 70s. I was in full, women's lib. I didn't quite burn my bra, but but I was a women's libber until I came full circle and realized that it was propaganda that got women into the workplace. It was a program, a social engineering program, to double the amount of taxes coming in. I think Edmund Bernays started in America, like, let's persuade women to negate mothering and parent, like homemaking as a profession and a privilege, and let's get them all out in the workplace and then put all the children in daycare. I mean, some people are fortunate enough to have grandparents or extended family. And I never would advocate for women to put their brains. I think after giving birth, it was like, for a while there's a brain fog. And after I'd given birth and breastfed, nursed for, a couple of years or whatever, I think some of my brain cells came away with my placenta. And I saw another joke where a woman said, I knew I'd messed up when my husband asked me to entertain his boss at a very elegant dinner party, and I unconsciously started to cut up his meat for him. Probably just a joke. But yeah, so I'm not saying put your brain to bed if you have children, but nor am I saying give your children away for other people to raise and educate. I homeschooled for a while. I had my children in a homeschooling co-op, which I think is a brilliant option. So there were like 19 children in a little school of varying ages, but they were all on a homeschooling ACE, Accelerated Christian Education, it was called. And when I finally, and then I homeschooled them some more on my own, which I did find challenging. But when I finally fed them back into mainstream media, they were assessed as being 2 years ahead of their peers in the basics, reading, writing, arithmetic, and so on. So anyway, I got off track with that. So I'm just saying it's not okay just to completely. I'm not trying to do an Andrew Tate. Wise words. Thank you, darling. From a vaccinated person. Wow. I'm not vaccinated, but yeah, no, most of my Love Island. Yeah, it's and if it brought happiness, I'd say, okay, go for it. Like, in my 20s, it was like, yeah, like we can do whatever we want. Nobody tells us what to do and blah, blah, blah. But when you come full circle, I think one of the ways that so many children have been kidnapped, and I'm not making any excuses, because this lady who actually has a story to tell about social services and injustice and law breaking and child trafficking, and I'm willing to listen to that story, but I always like to clear the decks first and say, okay, what part, and this is what I had to ask myself this with my children, what part did I play in my children having a difficult, like my daughter, I never married her father, I never lived with him, and he went on, sadly, anyway, I won't discuss that, but something happened on annual visitation. And with my sons, I divorced their father when they were 3 and 6, and it was hugely devastating. Even if you get married, you can't guarantee that you've made a healthy choice. And as a survivor, I say our pickers are mostly broken. So I'm not trying to put like condemnation on myself or anybody else. It's like part of surviving abuse or neglect or SRA in your childhood is your concept of who is a good person, who is a good father. And don't forget, one of the reasons why a man was created to protect and provide is because a woman is biologically created to conceive and carry and give birth and nurture. So any woman, no matter how liberated she might seem and how she might want to go Dutch and, earn more than her fella and blah, 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 no matter how much, to date, only she can be pregnant for 9 months, with whether it brings morning sickness or exhaustion or preeclampsia or bed rest or whatever it is. So it's biology to want to mate with a man that can say, it's all right, sweetheart, I've got this. You do what you need to do to keep our baby safe and bring our baby forth, and I'll keep the bills paid and the roof over our head and the car on the road, whatever it takes. You do you carry our baby, I'll do me, I'll bring home the bacon. And that's just biology. That's just biology. So didn't mean to get on a rant about that. So yeah, I have advocated for many women who've had their children taken. And I'm not going to pussyfoot around if those women have unresolved childhood trauma resulting in keep attracting narcissists or violent partners or unfaithful partners or loser partners that can't provide and want to actually take your single parent allowance and child benefit, let alone not provide for you. They want to come and how much have we got, what God, a hobby horse here. I had other subjects to cover. So that's just my rant about that. Like, women, stop opening your legs to randomers that will be nothing but grief to you. And you will have to look your children in the eye and say why they don't have a daddy, or why they have a daddy or had a daddy that bet the crap out of their mum, or never came at Christmas and Easter, or was a drug addict or a drunk or in prison, or so that's not from a place of judgment. Whoops, I made a load of notes. Let's see how we're doing here. Okay, 26, 22. Wise word, right? No, snake. Yeah. Love Island generation. Yeah, that's the truth. Right. I don't know how many are tuned in, but it's not important. Oh, 18. That's all right. It's not. I tell you what happened after my other live stream. My blog went crazy and got 3,300 views in a day, which was great. AngelasCashes.org. All the links are underneath. And it's had 600 views the last, and it's not about the views, is it? So let me just see where I made my notes. And if not, we'll just call it my rant about careless conception, because it's not all about, oh, your father was an arsehole, your father never supported you, your father did this, your father did that. No, sometimes we got pregnant carelessly. No, don't know where I wrote my list. I'll save it for another time. No, I'll just save it. I'll do an update. I usually do a monthly update, and I'll do that on pre-record, and share that at the end of the month. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, follow Alison Aitken, who's reviewing the Hoaxed blog, which is debunk part 1 on the Hampstead case as the children come of age this year and next year. Debunk part 2 is a Channel 4 documentary due out later this year. And they're going hard at it. The mainstream media are going hard at it to once again, in my opinion, effect a cover-up. So I've been blogging and sharing a school teacher's analysis and review of Alexi Mostras's podcast, which was hugely plugged by the British mainstream media. And I've heard also again from, well, I won't say that actually because it's delicate, but there are more interviews in the pipeline, let's put it that way. I'll leave it at that. I won't go into rambling. Thank you for those that tuned in. Please share this, and please do. My daily, like I was saying at the beginning, my daily blogging place is Facebook. So it's Angela Teresa Power Disney. And that's where I'll throw up, pictures of the dinner, the dog, and the sunset, but also other things. And Twitter is my more kind of slightly serious. I might only post there once every couple of days, but I think it's Angie Power Disney on Twitter. Anyway, you'll see the links under this, and thanks for listening. And please share. Yeah, Gabby Grey Hips. And Clarice. Yeah, hi, Clarice. All right, listen, it was good to talk to you guys, or at least like share the chat. I don't know if I'll ever get to the restream phone in. I don't think I will. I think I'm a bit old in the tooth for that. But look, it was good to talk to you. That's 30 minutes. So thank you very much and God bless. Oh, I suppose I should just do a recap on the last live stream. I hadn't had any evidence of Barbara Collier still being alive. I did get a phone call from Eddie is okay, assuring me that yes, indeed, Matt had lied. And it's funny, I got another threat blocked just as I said those names. Oh no, it's a status update. Yeah, okay. So I did get a phone call from Eddie is okay, saying that Babs was indeed still alive and that we should check out her connections with Stephen Keyes. They were both firm mini marathon runners, including in Hampstead. Stephen Keyes used to be a troll with a channel called Post 9, POSTNEIN. There were a lot of musicians in the original Hoaxted trolls. Kilrush, John Kilrush, Stephen Keyes. There were a lot of musicians there. So yeah, I got a phone call from Eddie, and I got the email, as I said, from Matt, but nobody's proved. And I guess if Barbara Collier, were still alive, and particularly as Eddie has phoned me and said, yes, I believe she is, and you should check into the connection between her and Stephen Keyes. Then I guess if Barbara is still alive, it might be good to speak up, because if Matt and Babs and others have allowed the lie to stay in place that she committed suicide due to online trolling, that's pretty dark. That's pretty damn dark. So yeah, no resolution there, but that's the update. I had a call from Eddie. It's okay. All right, God bless people. Take care, and please share this. And check out my blog. Check out my connect on Facebook is probably the best thing, because I share most stuff there. All right, God bless.